what's up you guys, it's Simon. Welcome back to my channel, especially if you are new, because today's video is going to be the first of very many videos this month. So you guys might already know, but I'm planning on uploading every single day this October for Inktober. So if you're new to this channel, like I said before, now is a great time to subscribe. Not every day will be a premiere, but there will be at minimum an upload every single day from now until the end of October at 6 p.m. CST. So mark your calendars, set an alarm, change your clock if you're that crazy about it. But 6 p.m. CST every single day there will be a video right here on this channel. So before we get into the illustration, I do want to talk a little bit about the controversy surrounding Inktober. So as a lot of you may know, in September there was a lot of drama about Jake Parker, the creator of Inktober, being allegedly accused of plagiarism. However, I feel like Inktober itself has grown far beyond Jake Parker. In fact, there's even a bit of controversy surrounding whether or not Jake Parker actually is the creator of Inktober, allegedly. I'm just saying allegedly because I don't want you guys to take anything that I say as fact. I personally myself am very conflicted on the situation, which is why I won't be using the official prompt list, but I'll get into that. Anyway, so I feel like the reason that I still want to do this is because as artists for the last 10 years, it has become like almost an integral part of our community. So many artists, whether they're digital, traditional, watercolor, whatever, any medium has joined in Inktober, and it's just so nice to see everybody's illustrations and see everybody join in on this big event. And so yeah, I feel like it's way beyond Inktober, it's way beyond Jake Parker. And so because of that, I clearly am still going to be participating, but because I do feel a little bit slimy about the whole situation, like I said, I won't be using the official prompt list. Instead, I'll be using two prompt lists. One is Peachtober, aka the list by Furry Little Peach here on YouTube, and the other is Witchtober from, I'm so sorry if I pronounce your name wrong, but I believe it's rit.aria. It might be rit.aria. I'm so sorry. But like I said, I'll be taking the prompts from those lists each day and combining them to make one illustration. So each day has a prompt, obviously, since I'm using two prompt lists. Whatever prompts are listed for that day, I will be taking and combining them into one central idea, which will make more sense here in a second. So today, our prompts were autumn and home, and if you want to see all of the thumbnails behind this sketch, you can actually check out my Patreon that will be linked down in the description, where starting at $1 a month, everyone will have access to all the behind-the-scenes sketches, PSD files, digital sketches, color studies, whatever that I used for this Inktober, apart from reference photos, because I do not own reference photos. So those won't be included, but everything else is going to be included in that, and those will be uploaded every single day as the prompts are uploaded. So I'm super excited about them, but back to the prompts. Initially, when I first saw these prompts, I started thinking about them from like a purely literal standpoint, as I often do. Of course, the idea of a home in autumn makes me think of like a basic, like I was almost thinking like the classic like white house with like a red roof, very like vectorish tree designs, maybe like a porch of some sort. And while obviously that would have made a nice illustration, I felt like it wasn't using any of the prompts to their fullest extent, and I also didn't feel like it was, you know, my style. Most of my work involves some sort of character design or portrait or scene involving some sort of character in some way, and I didn't feel like drawing a house was very indicative of my style, obviously. So instead, I tried to ask myself to break things down and look more into what a home actually is. And I eventually stumbled upon the idea that a home can be a feeling. So I started to ask myself what really felt like home in autumn. And for me, that's things like blankets, warm drinks, pumpkin everything, autumn colors, cold weather, long socks, scary movies, soup, you know, stuff like that. So finally, I sketched out a little design of like this girl. She was sitting in bed with her feet poking out of the blanket and a cat sitting on the floor beside the bed, and I realized that this was sort of the vibe that I wanted to go for. So I took it to the next step and moved over to Pinterest. So, after sketching up some room elements that I was inspired by, I decided to move on to digital, where I would do some more planning, trying to figure out what exactly it was that I wanted. So, if that was an illustration that was more central on the character, or if I was going to have the focus be on the scene and have the character as like sort of like a simple accompanying element. I also decided to make a mood board to help me with things like color palette and general perspective, and in the end, as you guys can clearly see, I decided to focus on a somewhat character focused illustration, but I also tried to leave a little bit of room for decorations because I was just really into the idea of like a cozy, eclectic sort of room situation. I wanted lots of smaller details to be sort of surrounding this character. I don't know why, because for me, cozy is clutter for some reason. There were also a lot of things I wanted to add, like candles and incense, books, you know, little bits and bobs and things like that. But I was just really liking the more simplified version of the illustration that I had going on. So that is what I went with. So the final illustration, of course, you guys can already see what I ended up going with. I had the main character sat on the bed, surrounded by pillows and blankets and cozying up with a bowl of soup. I also decided to get rid of the cat because, as usual, I was really struggling with it. Animals are really hard for me to draw because while I can obviously draw them realistically from reference, I have a really hard time stylizing them. It is something I'm hoping to work on throughout this Inktober. I did force myself to draw quite a few animals. However, I did want to give her a little buddy still, so I decided to give her a little ghost pillow, and I thought he was super cute, and I'm not gonna lie, I am genuinely thinking really hard about making one for myself. I might have to bust out my sewing machine because he is that adorable. I also decided to try something new with line art for this illustration. So a lot of the time I feel like my line art is really stiff, in my opinion, so I decided to line things with more of a relaxed hand and leave things sort of wobbly and textured, and I also messed a bit around with the hatching in her hair as well as the record on the wall. And for this, I would strongly advise against a micron for this, something with like a really like sturdy isn't the right word, but non-flexible also isn't what I'm looking for. Regardless, a nib that moves, something that is flexible, is a lot better for something like this. I personally used, I believe it's the Tombow Fudenosuke pens. They come in a 2-pack. There's a navy and a black one, and while both nibs are flexible, the navy one is a little bit more rigid, so I ended up with going with the black one because it just moved so smoothly and it allowed me to just, you know, relax my hand and get, you know, not the straightest lines because that's exactly what I was trying to not do, but straight enough that you could, you know, generally tell what I was trying to do. And I feel like it came out really well. I really like sort of like the shape of everything. And then I finally decided to add color with watercolor rather than my usual Copics because I just felt like this illustration was really soft and I wanted to lend more into that. Also, with the addition of things like digital art being included into Inktober nowadays, I felt like I didn't really want to hold back on what supplies I was and was not allowed to use this year. Although, apart from the planning portion, I don't want to use any digital because I do rely on digital a lot. But yeah, so like I said, I decided to add color with watercolor, and I overall am really happy with this illustration, apart from the colors. So some of the colors I really do like. I felt like I mixed an actual skin tone, which was really nice because I do struggle with that in watercolor, and I like the colors separately. I feel like are really nice, but I feel like when I moved them together they were kind of a mess. I very much strayed away from my color palettes that I used in the mood board portion, and I just ended up going from, you know, like my memory of like what do I feel like is a nice fall color, and I don't really like it that much. I don't hate it. I think the colors themselves are really nice, and the illustration itself obviously I do enjoy, but I wish I stuck more to my reference for my color palette. I feel like that was a big mistake. I feel like I should have gone with like maybe like a burnt orange for the blanket and then a brown for the throw blanket, just all this other stuff. So I feel like the colors don't really work together too much, but I also feel like if you're not me and you're looking at it, that you still like the colors. It's just my brain going, that's not what we were going for. Why'd you do that? But I do, like I said, like the illustration overall. I am happy with it, and I did like that I pushed myself to do something that I wouldn't normally do. Like I said before, I don't really do a lot of non-character based illustrations, so while there is obviously a central character, there's a lot of, you know, background elements, and that is something that I definitely do not normally do. You guys will see that a lot of the illustrations this month do not have a background, but this one obviously does, and I really like how it came out. So what do you guys think of this what do you guys think of this illustration? Are you excited for another video tomorrow? I know that I super am. If you're not already subscribed, like I said at the beginning, now is a great time to do so. Obviously, I'm going to be uploading every single day this month from now until the end, 31st of October, so 31 videos every single day. If you want to see all of the behind the scenes sketches and PSD files and all of that sort of thing, like I said before, you can check out my Patreon, that'll be linked down in the description below. I also want to give a huge shout out to my patrons, Elise Thompson, Duran, and Mandy. You guys are the best. Thank you so much for continuing to support me every single month. I love you guys so much, and I'll see y'all tomorrow. Bye.